The Kremlin has confirmed Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow on Tuesday, December 2nd. Peskov confirmed the meeting, noting that Witkoff had already mentioned the plan publicly. Asked whether frozen Russian assets would be on the agenda, Peskov declined to comment, saying Moscow would not conduct discussions in a megaphone regime or through the media as it pursues progress in Ukraine peace talks. Witkoff is traveling to Moscow after U.S.-Ukrainian negotiations in Florida, where both sides discuss steps towards a potential peace deal. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that talks between U.S. and Ukrainian officials in Florida are progressing well and expressed hope for an end to the war in Ukraine, which he described as ridiculous and responsible for thousands of deaths. Asked about Ukraine's challenges, Trump cited ongoing corruption but said it would not impede the peace process. He confirmed that U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is scheduled to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow and declined to set a deadline for a deal. Trump emphasized his desire to save lives and expressed cautious optimism that a peace agreement could be reached.
I've spoken to them and they're doing well. Ukraine's got some difficult little problems.
The Kremlin has denounced the Ukrainian drone strike on Caspian Pipeline Consortium infrastructure, calling the attack outrageous given the project's international ownership and importance. The CPC, which includes Russian, Kazakh and U.S. shareholders, said one of three mooring points is at its Novorossiysk terminal that was damaged in Saturday's November 29th attack, halting operations there. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov also criticized Ukrainian sea drone strikes on oil tankers in the Black Sea, saying they targeted the interests of Turkey and the vessel's owners. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said today could mark a pivotal week for Ukraine diplomacy as she arrived at a meeting of EU defense ministers in Brussels. She said she had heard that U.S.-Ukraine talks in Florida on Sunday were difficult but productive after both sides reported progress on a potential Russia peace deal.
It could be a pivotal week for diplomacy. We heard yesterday that the talks in America were difficult but productive. We don't know the results yet, but I will talk to the defense minister of Ukraine and as well as
French President Emmanuel Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelenska to the Élysée Palace as diplomatic efforts intensified around the war in Ukraine. Macron's office said the two leaders would discuss the conditions of a just and durable peace, following recent talks in Geneva and consideration of the American peace proposal. The Paris meetings followed U.S.-Ukrainian discussions in Florida, where both sides reported productive talks on a potential Russia peace deal. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed cautious optimism after the November 30th session, though key issues remain unresolved. President Donald Trump's envoy has since traveled to Moscow to brief the Kremlin, as diplomacy surrounding Europe's deadliest conflict in generations stretches across capitals on both sides of the Atlantic.